I've had a great few days since I made the Saturday video launching us off. I've had several great workouts, and I feel like the weight's starting to come down. Today I did an hour on the treadmill at the gym and did 5 miles. 5 miles an hour is kind of my average cruising speed these days. And then right after that I did 45 minutes in the pool, and I probably did not quite a mile. I didn't count all the laps, but it was really good. I'm a little tired, got a little hungry, but things are going real well. I think that when I have my weigh-in day on Saturday, things are going to be really good. A couple of days ago, I had a good swim, and the swimming and the running has been coming along. I've been finding out that I think I sweat the most when I'm cycling, when I'm doing the bike. It seems like my clothes end up wetter than at any other time. That's probably a little gross to talk about, but these are the kinds of things that you experience when you're training for an Ironman. I thought I would take this opportunity to tell you a little bit more about who I am and why I'm doing all this and everything that's going on. Like I've told you, my name is Ross Kellen Moore. I am a family mission coach. And doing this video blog and doing this Ironman training and doing the Redman in Oklahoma City, for me, is part of my family mission. We are, my family, my wife Jen, and I've got 3 kids, a 10-year-old boy and a 7-year-old boy, just had his birthday this week. Happy birthday, Connor. And a 5-year-old girl. We have decided that we are the Iron Moors, that we do impossible things, or the things that people think are impossible. We've been doing some triathlons together, and we're all about finding ways to serve other people by doing the things that we love the most, and by doing the things that use our unique abilities. Anyway, I'm a partner in a firm called Creation Tree Coaching, and part of what we help people to do is understand that their families don't have to be in competition with their business and their work. I like to think of us as being Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families meets Timothy Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week meets Bob Proctor and You Were Born Rich. Anyway, I talked in the last video for just a little bit about the fact that I grew up overweight. From the time I was, fairly young, I was always sort of the fat kid. I wasn't probably, grossly obese or anything growing up, but I was always slow and chubby. I played soccer for a couple of years, but I never considered myself an athlete. Soccer, honestly, for those couple of years, I was the slow fat kid, right? So it wasn't that fun. I figured my place was other than sports, and I always got the sense that the people that made fun of me and made life hard for the slow fat kid, right, were always the more athletic kids, the jocks and all that sort of thing. Anyway, I built this image of myself, this sort of self-identity is not being an athlete. I grew up doing a lot of music and theater and singing and performing, and I love to read books and that sort of thing. And so I saw myself as an artist instead of an athlete, and I figured, that was just as legitimate as being an athlete, and it always seemed like the athlete culture in public school and that sort of thing, wasn't something that I enjoyed. And, it's amazing the extent to which you live up to the images that you form of yourself and the identity that you form in your mind about who you are and what you're about. Anyway, fast forward a few years, been married for right now I've been married for 11 years. But a few years ago, I had been working in Washington, D.C., sort of hated my job in a lot of ways, sort of hated my life. Love my family, right? But somehow or other, I said I've been married for 11 years. I got married to the captain of the BYU swim team, right? Total jock. First jock I ever dated. I had always dated artists like me, right? Musicians and dancers and singers and stuff like that. And who did I marry but the first jock I ever dated in college, right? So anyway, long story short, being really athletic and doing athletic things on the weekends is something that's really important to my wife. And it's something that really was different for me. I enjoyed sitting around. Like I was saying, with my job with the government, I was in a cubicle a lot. My favorite thing about my day was going to the Burger King stall at the cafeteria. And by the time I finally left that job and moved to my current home now in Utah, turns out I was 271 pounds. And once I decided that I was going to help try to coach people to understand that they could create and make anything they wanted out of their lives, I figured out that it didn't make any sense for me to teach principles about how to create anything you want and still feel like I was stuck being heavy and slow and tired all the time. So I decided to put some ideas into place to build a new image of myself as an athlete, as somebody who loves to run and swim and bike. My wife had gotten into triathlons, and I decided, okay, rather than just being the supporter on the sidelines, I'm going to do this too. Anyway, again, to make a long story short, I spent most of last year. In January, I decided to get ready for my first triathlon, and I picked a little mini sprint level triathlon on Catalina Island in Southern California, where I had sort of spent a lot of time in my summers growing up as a kid with family on the island, and decided to get ready for that. And that was in November, like 10 months away, right? And I decided to build that new image of myself as a triathlete and to start to train, and I decided to change my nutrition and start to eat better and supplement powerfully. And all of a sudden, from out of that new mindset and that new nutrition and that new training program, I started experiencing sort of physical capacity that I'd never known that I had, that I didn't think was possible. I ended up doing my first mini triathlon at the end of March, so just a couple of months later, really. And from there, I had so much excitement and joy and a feeling of success there that I decided to take on the half Ironman. It was called the Viking Man in Burley, Idaho, in the beginning of June, and that was just like 12 weeks later. Lots of people, including my wife, told me I was crazy and that I was going to kill myself and that it would be a bad idea. But I built that mindset, and I continued to give myself great nutrition, and I continued to work out really hard and train, and I pulled it off. And the next step after that was I was training for the top of Utah Marathon in Logan, Utah, which I did in September. All of that, over the course of all that, I lost 50 pounds, and I've decided that this year my new goal, like we're talking here, is to continue building that image, continue to work out and get myself to the Redman Iron Distance Triathlon in Oklahoma City on September 20th. So 160 pounds and a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike, and a 26.2 mile run. We're going to get there. Thanks for tuning in, and check with me next time. Bye.